How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moonbase. Hope you guys are doing great. Good to be here with all of you. As usual, this moon coming into Virgo today, which is going to activate some energy that is oncoming and slow building that we haven't felt yet, that we haven't felt in a long time. So when this moon comes into Virgo today, it's going to square Jupiter. So with Saturn being retrograde and this moon in Virgo today, which will eventually oppose Saturn retrograde, but before that, we're going to see the moon in Virgo square Jupiter in Gemini at 10 degrees. And now that Jupiter's in the second decan, it's starting this oncoming square to Saturn. And, Saturn is retrograding. Jupiter is direct going forward. So they're going to meet, later this year, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to start to feel this energy today of this Jupiter square Saturn and of these mutable squares that we're going to be going through over the next year. And really until Jupiter comes into Cancer, because Jupiter will have to deal with Neptune as well at the end of Neptune. So we're going to start to feel that today. We're going to start to feel, we've already been feeling it since Saturn's gone retrograde. It's like, fuck, where does all the time go? It's like my sleep schedule has totally changed. I'm staying up way later than I have in over 10 years. Time and reality and, trying to stay in time and reality is a little difficult at this moment. So when this moon squares Jupiter today, I think it's a good reminder that it's like we can't overdo things. We got to, take what's right in front of us as much as we possibly can. And if we get too far out, it's going to get really overwhelming. And, emotions can kind of pop up and boil over in really neurotic ways. So this Jupiter moon square today is bringing up some neurotic mental energy where it's just like the overthinking, the overprocessing. There's too much, getting too much information at once. With the Saturn square too, it's like, okay, I got to set boundaries of what's coming in, what's going out. You got to set up a filtration system with this Saturn retrograde, so Saturn can help filter out all the BS so we can actually get down to the truth and focus on the foundation that, we want to keep laying and keep building and growing, and especially on a spiritual level, and more in an internal subconscious space. And this is where Saturn's really testing us, so setting boundaries where you don't want things to come in, let it be known. It's like, hey, I don't have bandwidth for this. Like this moon square Jupiter, it is like we just feel like we don't have enough bandwidth. We don't have enough time. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things to do. And once this moon comes off, this square to Jupiter, it will oppose Saturn. And so when this moon makes his opposition to Saturn, this is when we can really look at things like, okay, and we're going to be feeling this as we're going into tomorrow. So it is like looking at things and reflecting on things and where things have been difficult and challenging and where we haven't really been practical and realistic, and where are we not managing our time properly? How are we not compartmentalizing what we need to compartmentalize? It's like, are we letting the emotions dictate our reality, or are we able to separate our feelings and emotions within our mind and within ourselves to focus on the work that needs to be done and the task that's at hand, but also acknowledge that there are these feelings and there are these emotions that need to be acknowledged. So when this moon opposes Saturn, it is like, this is where we can feel that buildup after that moon square Jupiter, that it's like, okay, this is where the boundaries come into play. If you get into these overthinking states, it can really trigger you in a big way. So it's all about boundaries and being realistic with this moon in Virgo. And definitely with partnerships too, because as we're going into Thursday, and with this moon Saturn opposition, like there is this connection here with the moon and Juno too. If we want to throw that in there, where it is, it's like where are we not being realistic in relationships? Where are we not being practical in our partnerships? You know, where have things kind of gotten a little cloudy and fuzzy and foggy? We're going to be dealing with this a lot with Saturn Neptune retrograde. Is just being here on this earth. You know, sometimes it's been really difficult lately since Saturn and Neptune have gone retrograde. It's been very difficult to stay grounded, you know, and not get lost, you know, in your mind and go somewhere else. And it's been more of a challenge than I've noticed in a very long time. So with this moon opposing Saturn today, we can really look at how we can, you know, be more responsible. How can we not, you know, let the subconscious shit kind of drive us and drive the ship, you know. And this moon square Jupiter today is really going to trigger us in a big way to really look at things, you know, really look at the words that you're saying. Look at, you know, even being able to analyze your own thoughts. It's like, okay, well, what are my thought patterns? You know, with so much mercurial energy today, that is, you know, more tense towards each other. You know, it's looking at the more challenging things of like, you know, how do we not, you know, where do we fall into those escapism traps or those victim traps? You know, it's really going to start to affect us in intense ways, and there are big lessons that we're going to be learning here about these things. And I think a lot of those lessons that we're about to go through with the Jupiter square Saturn, you know, is not overdoing things, not pushing things too far. You know, if you're moving out of the present moment and what's right in front of you, and you're looking too far ahead, and you're, you know, quantum leaping from the start to finish without actually moving through, you know, we have to focus on every little detail. You know, with Jupiter and Gemini, it's like Mario. It's like, you know, you can't skip over. You know, you have a limit of how far you can go, how far you can jump, you know. So you have to focus on the next thing that's right in front of you. Like, that's Gemini. You know, or else you'll fucking fall through the hole, right? So with Jupiter and Gemini, it's focusing on that. And sometimes, you know, with energy like this today, with these mutable squares, it's like the overthinking and the overstimulation can get too much. And Saturn is telling us that it's like we got to slow down. We have to step down. We have to be easy, take our time, you know. So being able to reflect on that, about how we can find ways to heal ourselves in that regard, I think is very important today and tomorrow too, because we're going to be feeling this tomorrow as well. And the moon's going to oppose Neptune tomorrow after this opposition to Saturn. So we're going to be looking at reality in a whole different way after these next few days. It's like we're going to have a whole nother perspective, a whole nother layer that we're opening up here over these next few days with this moon in Virgo, where we can look at our inner world in a different way. Because right now we're kind of more in touch with that inner world, you know. Out here is as external or extroverted as we want to be right now. It's very difficult, especially with Cancer energy and so much Neptune energy right now. And Mars and Taurus is very slow, more subdued in the way it moves. But we are moving into alien territory with this Mars-Uranus conjunction, which I'm excited about, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the excitement build up. You know, there's definitely some challenges mentally that we have to go through. You know, Mercury's cooking through Leo, and Venus is opposing Pluto here this week. It's going to ingress into Leo. I mean, we have a lot to look forward to, and the energy is about to shift more into some. You know, we're going to start getting more Leo energy here. You know, we're going to be in Leo season before you know it. So with Venus moving into Leo, Mercury in Leo, we're going to start to feel the vibe shift and the fire start cooking. But yeah, there definitely is some more internal subconscious stuff to work through today with these mutable squares. And we're definitely feeling it. We're going to start to get a little glimpse of what this Jupiter-Saturn square is going to be. This is the first time we're going into this territory with Jupiter now at 10 degrees, you know, so the moon is activating that. today. So let's see what we got. Okay. Well, I mean, with the Seven of Cups, it's like there are options. We have all the options in the world. But how many options do you actually need? It's like just pick one thing and move with it. That's how I'm feeling. Because yeah, it's great to have all the options. And there may be value in especially emotional value and all the options that are available, but it is with creative mastery and really moving forward and being productive and accomplishing things. It's like you pick that one thing that first made you feel fucking amazing, and you keep moving forward with that, and you grow it and you build it and you harness it. If you have all the options in the world with these mutable squares, it's just like, where do I commit? Where do I fully let myself be in my creative version of myself? It's like, well, you can't be in 10 places at once, or 7 places. So it is like with the Seven of Cups coming up, and all this mutable energy and these mutable squares, it's like, yeah, there's all the options. Pick one, pick something and follow through with it. Very Mars Taurus, simple. Find that first thing that makes your intuition or the hair on your neck stand up. Find that one thing and you stick with it. With Gemini, it's very hard. Jupiter and Gemini. So, and that's the reminder. Jupiter is not stoked in Gemini. It's in its detriment. So it's finding ways to keep you, right here and right now, and what's right in front of you. When you look too far ahead with Jupiter and Gemini, it can get really overwhelming. And it can, one minute you think you have a big idea and you experiment and you try all these different things, and the next thing you know, it's like you just took yourself down a rabbit hole that you didn't need to go down whenever you had the right thing and the first thing that initially sparked the whole feeling or the whole idea or the whole relationship, in the first place. So it is that first hunch and that first instinct that we want to be able to move with, because if you get caught up in every possibility, every option with Jupiter and Gemini, we're not going to be expanding into anywhere, into nothingness. So, commitment is a big deal too, especially with Gemini. It's like, well, I'm committed to kind of everything, right? It's like, well, finding that one thing that you can really harness with Jupiter and Gemini and really grow and evolve, and it might take many side quests to find that, right? With Jupiter, it's all about the quest, and sometimes you don't have all the facts when you're on a quest and when you're on a journey, and it's not really all about that. As much as Gemini wants to understand things and analyze it and have all the facts, it's like, well, Jupiter is like, well, it doesn't really matter, pick that one path, stick on that one thing that you're really great at, and take the journey. Don't even question it, don't even look back. And that's the power of Sagittarius, is just being able to know exactly where the target is, and know exactly intuitively how and where to move, and it can feel its way through, and it's not quite sure where it's moving towards, but when it arrives, it knows. So that's very Jupiter, that's very Sag. And Gemini is just like, well, what are the coordinates, right? It's like, doesn't matter. If you think about that too much with these mutable squares, it can get really overwhelming when a lot of the details sometimes don't really matter, in these mutable areas. It's not all about the details or the perfection, or having all the right things. And because we never really do anyway. And it is along the journey where we start to find those pieces and start to put them together. And as we take our own journey, we piece these things together in our own unique creative ways. And that's what makes us unique individuals, is how we respond to our experiences and how we express that experience to share it with others. So anyway, I'm super stoked with Venus coming into Leo finally. Get out of all these Cancer. You know, I love Cancer, don't get me wrong, but too much of it can be a little overwhelming. So I'm stoked for the rest of the week. The rest of the week, it's like with Venus coming into Leo and that Mars-Uranus conjunction. It's like after today, moving through these mutable squares, the whole vibe's going to start to shift as we move into the weekend. And it's going to get really exciting and really unpredictable. So who knows where we're going to end up. So I'll see y'all tomorrow and have a wonderful day. Peace out.